Hi, I'm Dylan, and I'm the designer of this game, Just Borrowin, and today I'm going to show you how to play it. So this is the initial setup. As you can see, over here is the item deck, and 4 cards are going to be laid out at the start of the game from the item deck. And over here is the assembly deck, and at the beginning of each game, each player begins with 4 cards from the assembly deck. You can have a maximum of 5 in their hand, and this is what they look like. Each player also has 4 gold cards, and these are what they look like. They are dealt from the gold deck, as you can see over here. However, once they are dealt, each player is dealt 4. This deck is not used for the rest of the game, and the only cards from that deck that are used are the ones that are in players' hands. Also, each player receives, as you can see, 1 meeple, which are these tokens, and 1 card, which is their starting room. So this room is different from other rooms, as you can see over here, in that they are double-sided, while this one is only one-sided. And this one has these 9 pips in it, which shows how many there are in the deck, and as with the rest of these cards over here as well. Of course, the starting card doesn't need to have that because they are not in the deck. And then also each player also receives an order of play. So this is a card to help them remind them of what the turn order is, and also on the other side it shows them all the other little things they need to know, like all these icons and the actions again. So as you can see on this card, the first thing that we do every turn is the movement phase. And so in the movement phase, each player has to decide where they want to go and which actions they want to perform. There are 6 actions you can perform, which are these 6 over here, which I will go through as we go along. But the remaining 5 over here all take place within the house, while the first one, take an item card, takes place out here, which is the human house. And so every night the players have to decide what action to do, and this is decided by whether placing either in these 4 spots or placing their meeple or their token back in their house. The first thing that happens is movement, and all players are going to move simultaneously on this first turn. And I'm going to be the white meeple in this game, and they're supposed to all move simultaneously, but I've only got 2 hands, so they're going to move in whichever order I decide. And so supposing I'm going to go for the crochet hook, and the red player is also going to go for the crochet hook because he didn't know I was coming here, and the black player is going to go for the room over here, and the green player is going to remain in his own room. And so what happens here, in this case, we're both trying to go for the crochet hook, but only one of us can get it, and so as a result, a scuffle occurs. And a scuffle is basically a fight between the 2 players. And so this is resolved by the rolling of dice. Now, rolling the dice will take forever to get the results I want, so I'm just going to set the results here. So the blue die is going to be the white player, and the green die is going to be the red player. And so supposing the result ended up like this, a 6-2. And so what happens here is that a noisy scuffle occurs. And in a noisy scuffle is a scuffle that had a difference of 3 or greater in the die roll. And so what happens is that it's so noisy that the house cat is awoken, and he comes to investigate in the room. The house cat is represented by this orange disc, as you can see. And then what happens is that both players are kicked out. They run away when they hear the cat coming, and they forfeit the rest of their turn as they cower in fear in their rooms. Supposing the result was different, let's replay that back again. And supposing instead of losing by 4, the red player lost by 2. In that case, if they lose by 2 or less, what happens is that the white player, me, gets to remain on the card, while the red player gets kicked out. He loses the fight, and he gets a timidity card because he's scared of fighting me again. Timidity cards are just item cards drawn face down, which can be used later on in the game, and I'll explain some more of that later. And so what happens now is that we get to do the actions. And so the black player gets to take this card, and he adds it to his tableau. I get to take the crochet hook and add it to my tableau, and can put it in any room I want. The green player over here, he didn't go out, and so he's going to draw an assembly card. And so you can have a maximum of 5 assembly cards in your hand. So he now has 5, so he's good. However, if next turn he decides to draw another assembly card, that will give him 6, and he can't have that. So at the end of that turn, he will have to discard back down to 5, and so so that he'll have 5 again. So at the end of every turn, we need to replenish these 4 cards over here because they need to be there for the start of next turn. And so we're just going to draw some cards and replace them over here. Now here we are at the second turn, and I'm going to look at my assembly cards to see whether I'll be able to play any of them. And as you can see, assembly cards can be played if you have the item cards that they require. And over here, this is the closet. It requires a crochet hook and a matchbox. And as you can see, I've got the crochet hook, and out there I can see a matchbox. So I'm going to be going for that this turn in the hopes that I can build a closet in a later turn. And so now what happens is that because of timidity cards, the turn order does not go simultaneously anymore. Timidity cards, so in this case the red player has one, makes them scared, and they're going to hide, and they're going to be a bit more cautious before going out and trying to look for stuff. However, the 3 of us here, the green, white, and the black, are not as scared, and we're all going to charge out at the same time. So I'm going to go and grab the matchbox. And so the green wants a toothbrush, and as you can see, there's only 2 toothbrushes in the whole game, as represented by those 2 pips. And so he is not going to risk it, and he's going to go out right now and grab it. But the black player has the exact same idea, and he's going to grab it too. So the red player, seeing all this chaos going on, decides safely that he will just go pick up something safe like a pillbox. And so what happens is that we'll have to resolve the fight first, and I'm just going to rig it over here so that it's going to be 6-1 now. It's a huge fight, and so the cat comes. Now what happens when the cat comes is, as I've said, both players are knocked out and they forfeit their turns. They did not draw any timidity cards because neither of them lost a fight. They just ran away from the cat, and everybody's scared of the cat. However, now that the orange disc of the cat is here, no other players can place their meeples there until the cat has moved somewhere else, usually to chasing after somebody doing another fight. And so over here, I get the matchbox now, and the red player gets the pillbox. And so that again concludes the round, and we will end off by refilling the cards again. So here we are at the beginning of round 3, and again, I'm going to take a look at my cards to make sure I know what I'm doing before I do anything. And so, as you can see now, I've got both the crochet hook and the matchbox. So that means I can build the closet, and so that's what I'm going to be doing this turn, and I will talk about that later. And so what happens now is that, again, all players will have to move. Again, the green player, me, and the black player will all move simultaneously because none of us have timidity cards. The red player, however, has 1 timidity card, and he will move after us. The green and the black player tonight both really want to get the tea light, because not only is it do they need it, they all see it again only has 2 pips, which means there's only 2 of them in the deck, which means that it's possible that they will not get any if they are slacking. And so they both go for it immediately. And now the red player really wants a toothbrush, and the only way to get to the toothbrush is for the cat to move. And so he's going to join this fight over here. And so the scuffle of 3 or more players is automatically the noisiest scuffle of them all. And so the cat moves over here immediately without any dice being rolled, and all 3 players are kicked out. Meanwhile, on the other hand, sorry, I forgot. I had to pick up my guy and then place him right back here while these 2 over here were moving. And so that shows that I want to do this third action, which is play an assembly card. And so what happens is that now I can take a look through my cards, and oh yes, I wanted to build a closet, and so I will play the closet. And now the closet costs, as you can see, requires the crochet hook and the matchbox, which is basically the cost. And so once I play it, I have to take these 2 cards, the cost, and discard them. And so then once I do that, I can place it in any room I want and of my own. And since I only have 1, I'm just going to place it right over here. And so as you can see over here, none of the cards were taken because they all tried to go for the same card and failed. So all the cards remain there, and we don't draw any new cards to replace any of the old ones. So here we are several rounds later, and we're going to start again with movement. But I'm just going to explain right now. I'm going to go through the 3 actions. We've done the first 3: take an item card, draw an assembly card, and play an assembly card. And now we're going to go through rearrange, trade, and play a timidity card. So as you can see here, lots of fighting has been going on, and only myself and the black player have remained without timidity cards. The red player still has 1, and the green player managed to acquire 2 of them, so he's going to go last. And so I'm going to go first by staying here, I would like to trade. Well, me and the black player go simultaneously. However, I would like to do some rearranging. The black player decides to go and find some stuff he can get. The red player over here is going to stay at home as well. He's going to play his timidity card. And the green player decides he's going to draw another assembly card, and so he's just going to stay in his own house. And so what happens for me in rearranging is that rearranging is basically just moving one card, whether be it an assembly or an item, from one room to another. I can just do it simply like this. The other option, of course, I can do is switch them. So this is considered one action, and a switch as well, where you switch the position of these two cards is also considered one action. Now you may be wondering why I want to do this and why is there any point. And so there's two things. First is that there's a limit to the number of cards you can have in each room at the end of the game. During the game, you can have as many cards as you want in each room, but at the end of the game, you can only have 5. We'll get more to that later. And also, during the end of the game, there's also some special the goal cards have different scoring requirements. And so we're just going to focus on one here, the relaxer. It says, you gain 1 point for every room with a comfort icon in it. So you can see over here that before I did this switch over here, I had comfort icons. I have 3 of them, all these pillowcases over here, but they were all in the same room. So if I had my arrangement like this, I would have only scored 1 point for this card. However, if I move it over, that will mean that 2 of my rooms have comfort icons in it, and that means I would score 2 points instead. So I'm going to do that. The green player is going to draw an assembly card, and now, as you can see, he has indeed reached 6, and so at the end of the turn, he will have to chuck one off like he did previously, because he likes taking assembly cards for some reason. The red player is going to take... Oh, the black player first, he gets his card, and he gets to go home. And the red player is going to play his timidity card. Now, what happens when you play a timidity card is that you take the oldest one. In this case, he only had one, so that's his oldest one. And you flip it over, so he gets a snap of tool knife, and he gets to play it wherever he wants in any of his rooms. And so now that he has no timidity cards, next turn he will move at the same time as the white player and the black player. And now we've come to the end of the round again, and we are going to draw one more card and to refill over here. So the game end is triggered in the round where these 4 cards cannot be again refilled before the start of the next round. So supposing we only had 3 cards over here and this deck is completely gone, the game would end. However, if there were 4 cards here and the deck was gone, the game would continue on as long as these 4 cards remained here at the end of every round. The moment one of them is gone, however, the game then ends. Scoring begins, and there are 2 things you need to consider when you are scoring. The first thing is all these cards down here that you've been collecting over the game and building. The items and assemblies, which is collectively your tableau. And the second are the goal cards you've had in your hand since the start of the game. And so, well, before you do all that, let's suppose over here that I had a whole bunch of cards hanging down around here. I have like 6, as you can tell. I am putting them right now. In fact, that may be more than 6. Let's just check. Anyway, so the whole point is over here is that each room can only have 5 cards. Because since this is a game about house building, you can have a ton of stuff in each room while you're renovating, but at the end of the game, your house should be complete, and nobody likes a cluttered room. And so, before scoring, you have to throw some items out. In fact, you'll have to throw items out until you reach 5 cards in each room. So, supposing over here, I have like 2 crochet hooks. I have one here and one here. So I don't want that. I'm just going to chuck it out. And then I'm going to chuck out a handkerchief. And that leaves me with 5 cards in this room. Over here, as you can see. So that is good now. And so what happens now is that I will score points. And I score 1 point for every item card as indicated in the top left corner. All scoring points are in the top left corner. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points for items. I also score 9 points for assemblies, 3 here and 6 here. So that equals 17. And then what happens is that I have to score my gold cards. Now, I can score as many gold cards as I can, as long as I fulfill the requirements. But that usually doesn't happen, but I'll just go through and look anyway. So the first one, as I've showed you before, is the relaxer. It says you gain 1 point for every room with a comfort icon in it. And so I look at the my cards over here, and whoops, I must have forgotten something because I only have um, comfort icons in one room, so that means I gain 1 point. That is silly of me. I should have rearranged earlier. Then the Hermit. The Hermit says you gain 1 point for every cleaning icon or comfort icon you have, whichever is fewer. And so now I will count on my icons. I have 1, 2 cleaning icons, as you can see, and 1, 2, 3 comfort icons. Now, since it said whichever is fewer, I'll have to take the fewer one, and which is the cleaning icon. So I get 2 points from this. That my running total right now is 20 because I have 3 here and 17 from over here. Then I have the organizer. It says pick a room. Score 3 points if every item and assembly in that room shares an icon. Now I take a look over here, and I have four vases, which is the stately icon, but the 5th one is missing over here. So I can't score any points with this card, so I'm sad. And so I'll just put it aside. And then the last one is the crafter. You gain 1 point for every stately icon or tool icon you have, whichever is fewer. So stately icons, the vase, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And the tools, which is the spanner, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It means I get 4 points for this card, which makes my total number of points 24 points for this game. And just a heads up, that's rather miserable because that's not actually I didn't actually finish the game. I still have a whole stack of cards here, but for the purposes of this game, it is done. So that's an overview of the game. And so if you have any other questions or things you want to know, you can always refer to the Field Guide to Borrowing or the rulebook. It is quite comprehensive. However, if you do have any more questions, you can either comment in the comment section of this video, or you can find my website over here at the back of the box and go there and query there as well. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the game.